For today's video, I got the hood up on the 1992 Geo Metro LSI convertible, and the goal today is to replace the transmission fluid filter and some of the transmission fluid. Now, if you ask 10 people about if you should ever change the transmission fluid in a working transmission, you'll get 20 different answers. Because people say, oh, the old clutch material is in there and you should leave it there or else it'll slip, and you have the other half saying, no, you better change it regularly. Truth is, this one I've never changed at all. This car is high mileage and I have never changed it in the time I've had it. So as I was replacing the radiator in a previous video, of course, you have the fluid lines that go in and out for the transmission cooler also. I noticed that the transmission was a little browner than I'd like to see it. So it's not like it's bad, but I feel like I should change it. So I'm going to change it. So let's do this. As you can see, I got mine up on jack stands. You should also chock your rear wheels and put on your emergency brake. And then we're going to drain the fluid. And I believe this one might have a drain on the pan, which is very rare. Most of the time, you're just dropping the pan. One note, anytime you're draining your fluid, you're not draining all your transmission fluid. You're just draining what's in the pan at the time. You're not draining your torque converter. You're not draining the valve body, anything like that. We're just going to change some of the fluid. If you needed to change all of it, you would have to tee into the lines, and there's a proper machine that, as it's taking a certain amount of fluid out, it puts a certain amount in. We're not getting that technical. I'm just happier to have it better than it was. Even if we're only changing 3/4, half of the fluid that's in there, I'm fine with it. Let's go. So first things first, kind of look at your parts, make sure your gasket looks like the right one. And as you can see, mine's been seeping and leaking up top, down below for a very long time. And never concerning enough to concern me, but if we can stop a little bit of the seepage from all the different spots, it's leaking from around that thing, it's leaking from the pan, it's leaking from up there, so yeah, whatever. I consider that more seeping than leaking. It's not actively wet, it's just really muddy. So we're going to take the pan off. There's our drain plug. Let's aim for that first. I have the tool in the wrong. There we go. Had it in the wrong direction. Up there. That's where we're working. Yes. There we go. She's draining. Bring it back when it's done. And while it's draining, you can see that fluid, it's got a little bit of red left, but it's pretty brown, really. So that's what I was a little concerned about. Okay, I got her draining pretty good there. That was the hole. And now we're just going to take out all the bolts all the way around. Pretty self-explanatory. Bring it back when I get them. All right, so here's what I'm seeing here. I think this rock guard, or whatever you want to call it, is separate, but it might come up. I mean, it's going to come off with the pan, but the name of the game is pry gently, or else you get splashed with hot fluid. Yeah. The reason I was saying pry gently is because you don't want to ruin your gasket surface there. But anyway, apparently I just learned that there's actually quite a bit of fluid still left in there. If you jack up your car like I did, the drain hole is in the wrong position. It's too high, and you didn't drain much of the fluid at all. So maybe you could learn from my mistakes. Got you looking at my pan there. So basically, mine came off with the gasket completely here, and nobody had used gasket sealer. That may be the factory gasket, because most people can't help themselves using gasket sealer. This here is a magnet, and what you're seeing here is a bunch of very, very fine particles that its job is to catch. It did a fine job of it. I don't see anything unusual here, so no need to overthink things, that as in repair wise. This part of the video I'm just doing for people that may be working on their transmission, people that took something apart and maybe didn't get it put back together the right way, or want to see how something is laid out. I'm just going to kind of slowly scan through so you can maybe see how something is laid out or torqued, or see where something runs. The one part we got to take off is this, which is a filter screen. And it also looks like it has a magnet here because I see some of that same magnetic goo. So we got to take that off. And that's the filter screen that we need to do. I'm calling it a filter screen because it looks like it has a screen right there. And I know it's a filter. So we're going to change that. That's why we're in here. And looking at our replacement, we can see that same golden screen inside the window there. And it is just a screen. There is no filter media anywhere on here. So that's interesting. Okay, so on mine, I just took off all the bolts that go around the filter, put the new filter on, good to go. And now we'll work on getting stuff cleaned up on the pan, do a final clean on our flange before we put our gasket, and get everything ready to put back together. But I got to get cleaned up. By the way, when you take these bolts out, more fluid will come out, so be ready. All right, on mine, I got it all cleaned up. There's the magnet. I put that back. It's just removable. Put that back, and I cleaned it 100% up with, scraped all the gasket material as best as I could. It's got a nice ridge in the middle, which is nice because it gives it a good clamping force right on the ridge, which is great. And I just put some debris in there. You want it cleaned all the way up with, 100% clean. You don't want to introduce any dirt into there because you may be making a problem worse. Anyway, gasket. Mine happens to be rubber. The original one was cork. No difference. They all work the same. I'm going to get mine put back together. I'm going to first start putting the pan on, and then I'm going to put the shield on because I don't want to, I didn't clean it 100% because I'm going to power wash mine from the bottom when I'm done. But I don't want to introduce any debris from that on my gasket surface nor inside. So I'm going to set the pan up, get a couple bolts started, then put this to it. Okay, I just got finished up underneath there. I put the pan gasket, the pan, and the rock guard, and torqued them all up nice and even. Use a manufacturer spec if you don't know how to feel for it. But the rubber gaskets that I was using there are probably more forgiving than the cork ones would have been. So just get them close, nice and even tension. And so to refill it, we're going to go right in the dipstick tube hole there before I even started. I don't want to run it dry for even a second. I don't think that's probably good for it. And I'm going to fill it up with some fluid, and then we're going to get it flat on the ground. Take it off the ramps, that I used, and then check the level. Well, I think it's got to be a neutral or park. Look up your specifications on how to do yours if it's any different. Got a nice long funnel laid out there. That's for transmissions. That's pretty much the best way to get down there is to fill it through a long funnel. Then you don't have to reach your hand down in the engine there. Anyway, fluids. You use what you want or what's recommended for your car. I'm using Dexron, AC Delco brand. Love it or hate it, that's what's going in there. And it is nice and red when it goes in. That's why I think the protection on mine might have been diminishing because it looked a little dirty, looked a little brown. I mean, I suppose the red is probably just a dye, but I'm just saying it's not like it was new, so I replaced it for that reason. All right, I'm going to fill mine up and start it up, put it flat on the ground, and check the levels. All right, I got mine all topped up. Got the fluid up to where it should be with dexron. And I hereby declare that transmission fluid change and filter Wildwood certified. Thanks for watching.